This presentation is designed to support your understanding of the final assignment for this class, the Disciplinary Literacy Resources and Strategies Project. For this project, we are going to have a truly authentic audience. I work very closely with Cottenham Primary School in Cambridge, England, and I'm supporting their professional development, which is specifically focused on building their subject knowledge in order to better support student learning across the disciplines. I work with all of the teachers at the school, as well as the head teacher and deputy head teacher. But for the purposes of this project, I'm working with Mr. Chris Hemmings, who's a Year 1 teacher. Year 1 is equivalent to our kindergarten, and you'll see here that I've listed the different year levels and what they correspond to in our world. So they have pre-K in their primary schools, which is called reception, or early years foundational stages. Year 1 is kindergarten, as I mentioned, Year 2 first grade, and so on. For the purposes of this project, each of your groups, so these are the groups that you've been writing your discussion boards with, each of your groups will be assigned one year group and topic. So for example, in Year 1, one of the topics that one of your groups will be assigned is transport and transportation. They link most of their learning across disciplines to this topic. So they may be learning about a person in history or a time in history where transport and transportation were particularly important. They might be thinking about in science the ways that engines work, or something along those lines. So you'll receive the curriculum map for the year group and topic that shows you the ways that they are connecting each of the disciplines with the overall topic. You will then develop resources and strategies to support teacher and student learning on the topic. So the guides that you're creating are for the teacher. This is something that we will provide to the teacher of teachers in that year group, and they will then determine how to best use it with the students, since they know the children in their classroom. But you're going to help them by collecting resources to help them think about ways that they can make this particular topic particularly engaging for children. So along those lines, I have a resource that looks like the one on your screen that talks about the different areas that you will support. You're going to obviously have your year and topic, which is the star in the center, and you'll connect all of the other pieces that surround the star to that. So one big piece is the subject knowledge. So what is it that teachers need to know about the subjects in the curriculum map in order to best teach the children in their classroom? So you will provide resources for the teachers, or links to these resources for the teachers, so that they can deepen their own subject knowledge about the topic. So again, this is part of the teacher's professional development. So these are resources that they will read to help them better understand, as opposed to resources that they would provide to the children. Because we have other areas where we will find resources for the children. So one is high quality text related to a topic. And in this case, when I say text, I'm actually referring to books, although I tend to define text more broadly when I speak generally. In this case, I'm talking about high quality children's literature or informational text that is related to the topic and the corresponding disciplines. I would think that you want to think of this as text sets. So a text set is a variety of books on a topic written at various levels, so that all, or at least most, of the children in the classroom can access the information. So that really means that you probably want to be looking for roughly 15 to 20 books. And again, these are links to the books. You're not purchasing the books, and we're not shipping them over, but it's to give them an idea of the types of books that they might be able to use. Then you'll see that there are other high quality resources for teachers and students. So I'm thinking things like you could even here have audiobooks or websites that children might access. You might have pamphlets. So, if we think about transport and transportation, maybe it's possible that there is, I don't know if there is, but I'm just saying it's a possibility. There might be an automobile museum in Detroit, for example, that has some online resources like pamphlets or even kits that teachers can order and have shipped to them so they can better understand how the automobile kind of changed the world from a historical or scientific perspective. So, you can be thinking about things like that. So pamphlets or brochures or audiobooks or websites or really even paintings or, things that can stimulate interest and ideas visually, you can be thinking about. So this is a place to get creative. I will definitely look at these before we send them on to the year group. So if something doesn't quite make sense to me, I'll reach out to your group and get a better sense of what you were thinking about using that resource. So I would say it's better to put more in there, and I can always talk to you about it than it is to put less because you're unsure. Of course, you can always email me. So if you find something and you're not sure if it would work out, just email me and let me know. So there is also a bubble here that talks about resources for less able children. So they refer to children who struggle with learning or have more difficult times with literacy as less able. And so when you hear that from me, you'll understand why I say it that way. If you create the text sets and the resources in ways that consider all learners, I think you will most likely already address the resources for less able children. I think, however, it's helpful if you identify that when you create your resource guide. And I'll show you in just a minute on the next slide where or how you're going to create this collection. Then finally, you'll create quick tips for teachers, say that 5 times real fast, that gives them ideas for how to use the resources you provided. So one of the things I find is that we often give teachers a lot of resources, but we spend very little time helping them think about ways that they can use those resources meaningfully. And so sometimes there are really great resources on shelves in schools that aren't utilized simply because teachers don't really know how. So this is meant to be, when I say quick tips, I mean quick tips. So these are bulleted list or even, just what you're thinking. So if you find that pamphlet from the Automobile Museum in Detroit that may or may not exist, then, just talk to them about how they might use it. Do they put it under the document viewers and show children the text features, so how to read a pamphlet, how to understand it, and then talk about why the children might use a pamphlet to better understand what it is that they're learning? Might they use it to show them how to make a pamphlet, because that perhaps could be the way that they demonstrate their learning on the topic. So, these do not have to be long narratives, these quick tips, but it should be something that if you were a teacher and you picked it up, you would get a sense of how you could utilize the resources that are at hand. So you're going to create a collection of resources on a site called Pearl Trees. And I give you the link here, but the link is also available to you in the module for this final assignment. I think you'll want to kind of consider how you set up your account. Each of you could set up your own account, but I actually think you might want to set up an account based on the year group and topic, and have a password that you share amongst you so that all of you can go in and upload resources once you've decided on them as a group. So again, this would be one of you goes in, sets up an account that then all of you use. That to me makes the most sense, but if you find other ways to utilize it that makes better sense to you and is still easily accessible to the teachers at the school, that's fine. So one thing to keep in mind is that you'll want to broaden your searches to UK resources. So you can and should include US resources because they very often have access to that. But it may take you some additional time because you may be less familiar with them. So you're going to have to do some searches that are specific to the UK. One thing is Amazon, for example, has its own UK site. So it's amazon.co.uk. So you might just want to use that as opposed to the US version of Amazon, simply because then you'll know for sure that if they chose to purchase the text, they would be able to get them. But things like Goodreads, which is a website that offers suggestions of books on certain topics, that is sort of cross-continental, if you will. And so they would be able to access that site, and then they could determine if they can get a certain book. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind, that while it'll be easier for you to look at US-based sites, this school is in the UK, and there might be some different resources over there. Then to submit, you're just submitting the link for your Pearl Trees collection on the assignment in Canvas. And then you'll also submit a separate Word document or something similar that includes the quick tips for teachers. So I can't think of a way that, unless you did it on one of your blogs, which is a possibility, how you would put those quick tips on the Pearl Trees collection. But actually the blog link may not be a bad idea if somebody is intending to keep their blog. If you do that, I would ask that you still just copy and paste it into a Word document and upload it. That way, if the blog ceases to exist in another year, then we still have that for the teachers to access. I think I said this on the last slide, but when putting the quick tips together, just think about how you would want that organized. So as a teacher, what would be helpful to you? So would you want to put a photo of the book you're talking about? So if you have a specific text in mind and you're going to talk to the teacher about how they might utilize that, do you want to put a photo there and then a couple bullet points? Or do you want a link on the Word document? Do you want to have a link to the resource in Pearl Trees so they can access it really easily? Just kind of think about that. One thing I think I neglected to say was what Pearl Trees is. So Pearl Trees allows you to create collections of information on specific topics. So you can go in, and if we use that year one example, create one for transport and transportation, and then you link resources from the internet to that site. So it's kind of like bookmarking on your computer, except that it is available to anyone who searches that topic. So I do recommend that even if you do a group, once you have your group Pearl Trees account, that you spend a little time exploring and playing with it before it's time to upload everything for the final project, just so you know kind of how to utilize it. I have looked online, and there are some tutorials on YouTube that talk about how to use Pearl Trees. So if it seems a little overwhelming to you at first, I recommend going to those. So I'm really excited about this project and this opportunity. I think it's great that you have an authentic audience other than me to create a collection of resources for. I know it's a major need at the school as they are moving towards trying to further develop their subject knowledge. And so for us to be part of that, I think is a good opportunity for all of us to support each other's learning. As always, if you have any questions, please email me and I will help you out.